Hello everyone and welcome back to Elba. We are still in the process of creating a nice little downtown area, well, not downtown area, village area on this island in Italy. It's part of the City Planner Place community Buildoff, and I've been having quite a lot of fun. So in this episode, I want to do a couple of things. We're kind of want to call a City Planner Place says a mulligan on some of these areas because the drop in density here is a little bit too steep. So what I am thinking, we're going to replace those three squares with the similar buildings to this. So we still have like a central plaza that we can utilize later on, and then we're just gonna kind of slowly downgrade. So I'm hoping to turn these few squares into these kind of buildings and then maybe some row homes, but we'll see. So that also means we need to find a different spot for our low density housing. And I think now would be a good time that the city says, you know what, we're gonna subsidize this industry here to actually move into our industry park that we have created over here. Let's have a quick look. There's apparently quite a bit of traffic. Everyone is turning right here, left here. Interesting. All right. So we'll deal with that too. Anyways, I think this area will be subsidized to move over into our industry park, giving us a bit more space for low residential housing over here. Now, our industry park here has a couple of areas for expansion. One is right on the left side of our cargo harbor, and the other one is actually on the right side over here. And I think right now would be a good time to actually expand in both of these directions and kind of migrate, in a sense, our industry from up there over here. And that's exactly what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna start out just by simply rezoning and this particular area, and then I will be right back. I think this is already a much better tapering from higher density to lower density, but I do want to utilize this area right here, and I think it would be a good time to try out placing our high density housing area. Now the big question would be, which one are we going to use? And since the French one over here looks actually quite nice, let's try this with the French high density housing in the hope that this will actually fill in and create a little bit of a high rise, although it doesn't quite look like it. Is this maybe high density housing? I wonder. All right, we'll see as it spawns in, but I think now is a good time to leave this corner and move back over, not over here, but into our industry area and start laying down the new road network. So based on that, I will be right back and we'll take it from there. that wasn't too bad. And we're gonna fill in this area as well as the newly zoned areas just with a bit of industry, utilizing some of our industry demand before we then delete the old ones. Right. Until then, I'll be right back. As this has gotten rid of most of our demand, actually not most, all of our demand, I am going to stop zoning this. And one thing that I actually just noticed, we could use a little bit more of office zoning. So this entire area right here, we're going to zone as offices, and we're going to assume that this is related to the cargo harbor. They can deal with import and export, and deal with overall the requirements of our area right here. It does remind me as well, we had in the past a couple of buildings burning down and cars when they got into accidents, which makes me think we need another firehouse. Now these are all relatively small, and I think it might actually be worthwhile to unlock the fire station, which will then allow us to build a larger one, which I think this industry area desperately needs, especially around the area of our oil industry. So let's have a quick look into our topography. So this corner would be an option, or this place right here. Now, the oil rigs are far enough away, so I think this would still work out. But let's have a look at how big they actually seem to be. And actually not too big, to be honest. So the German one would be 8 fire engines, because we have placed the small German ones in the past. The small, wow, that's really long. The UK one is just humongous. And only 4 fire engines. Seems like the French one could be an option, but I don't know if we need that. Just an urban fire station, community fire station, much larger. So you know what? Let's build the German one up here, because it also fits in just very nicely into this little corner right there. And this will be the fire station that completely supplies our industry area, well, and the larger area back here with fire protection. Now we have again a little bit of an issue with our death care. We do have the crematorium here, and actually all of them are out and about. So maybe it is time. It's actually relatively small, interesting. But maybe it is time that we actually build something more substantial, because it seems like our parish church and our crematorium cannot cope. Now the big question would be, what could we technically place and where would we place it? Versus 10 versus 5, 15, the regular cemetery. We could actually place this in our new touristy area. It does have some recreation and well-being for people, so it could kind of look nice. Although, again, we've talked about this in the past, cemeteries should be built on a hill for drainage purposes and everything. So maybe a crematorium, but again, wouldn't want to place that. Excuse me. Wouldn't want to place that into our touristy area. However, maybe in our new industrial zone could actually just kind of make sense. Or we place it... Okay, I think we will need to think a little bit about this. However, we are out of power, so what we really desperately need is more wind power plants. Okay, put one over here. And since we have the space, let's put one more over here as well. That one will fit. So there we go. And for whatever reason, this is not connected. We can actually put that right in the corner here, so it seems like that little roundabout area actually serves a purpose. Also gonna give them the advanced motor system right away, which should ultimately help us overall with our power supply. All right, not entirely sure why so many people are currently all dying. And so many car crashes. Ooh. But it is something that we also just need to deal with. One area that I have left empty is this corner right here, because I think this would be a perfect spot for the road maintenance depot. And once we have a bit more money again, because we just spent a ton of it, we will actually be able to place this. In the meantime, we have a bit more industry demand, so let me go ahead and keep zoning a little bit more. And we've made it to the small city. Most importantly, it gives us a bit more money. But let's see what else we're getting. We're getting a brewery. I love that. And then we're gonna see what we're going to put in. High density offices. That is what we got from this. And I think we're gonna try the high density offices instead of the low density right here, because honestly, they don't quite look right. So let's go with the French style. Why? Because we can. And just fill all of this up. That's actually hasn't used up as much high density demand as I expected. All right, back into zoning some more industry. Not entirely sure about that playground in the back. It is office buildings, so I guess it still kind of works, but in all, actually no. No. We're not gonna use these. Let's go ahead and just pick the vanilla ones and see how they will turn out. Wow, they might be... Yep. No, definitely not like that. They are definitely way, way, way too tall. So what else do we have? Low density, high density, USA high density. Maybe instead of making them all this deep, we're gonna start with something like this. Look at those cranes. I get a feeling they're gonna be way too tall. But what else do we have? I don't think the US ones would be looking okay. But maybe if we just make it 2x2. All right, let's have them spawn in and then we can still make a decision. So with the rest of the industry now zoned in, we're gonna go over to our little industry area. Not this one, over here, and start decommissioning all these buildings. All right. There's another thing that I want to include over here, and that is a road connection from up here down to this little alleyway. So we're going to start at the top and slowly going to go down. However steep it is still gonna be. Ooh. Let's have a look how bad it is. I forgot to look, but let's assume now it is actually an okay slope. Not the most preferred route, but an okay route after all. And if we're going to turn this into a bit more residential area, I want to make sure that this part here looks a little bit better. I do not want to have a retaining wall necessarily in here. All right, just like that. And now we just connect it up with our regular road system. Here we go. And that will allow us to zone a ton more low residential buildings. Let's make sure we actually select the right ones. And instead of zoning them in detail by ourselves, I am going to just set a bunch of these areas to be usable. All right, I decided to ultimately change a bunch of these road connections because that 2-lane road was just a little bit too big and it looked a bit strange to not have it go all the way through. So as a result of that, we have lost a ton of housing. So I'm just going to zone these back in. All right, I think with that, we are done with rezoning our new residential area. And I think, what happened to all of these guys? All right, and we have recovered them. So with that, we are done with our new little residential area over this way. And I think overall it actually looks really nice. Now we could try to figure out a way to connect them over here to get them up to the vineyard, but I don't think that will really help. Still not enough customers, not entirely sure why. What we might need to do is maybe we just need to get more people up there. So let's give that a go. If we go into the park area and pick a nice one, whatever that means, urban parquet. That's actually not a road up here. Ooh. But that we should be able to fix, right? So if we remove this and replace it with our one-way pedestrian road, no matter how ridiculous a one-way pedestrian road is. No, it's just too big. But they're all this big, no? Kind of are. So if it's not a park that we can put up here, oh my goodness, how hard can it be to get this in? Alright, let's see. If we move this out just like that and put the roundabout in now. Sorry, cul-de-sac, not roundabout. That's one thing that happens quite often when you remove things in this game. It's really hard to put them back in the exact same way that they were before. Alright, let's unselect snapping. This way we can put this in, looking much better. Awesome. Now these are already signature buildings. So technically the attractiveness should already bring in people. But I'm not entirely sure why they wouldn't. What are you doing? Seriously, you're taking a shortcut over this way? Oh boy. There is parking up here already. What could help, from a logical perspective, which, you know, isn't necessarily the case, this would be a small playground. This way, the parents can basically bring their kids up here, but they're all way too big. Even the 1 unit wide areas, like parks, are just ginormous. Guess we could try to place this over here. But yeah, no, that looks bad. Part of this makes me think I really should do live streams, because it would be nice to just have a chat with you guys about this at this point. Okay, let's just leave it as it is. And just accept that vineyards these days, they do struggle with getting customers in. Sometimes, at least. All right. We do have a few more of our Signature residential buildings. Really? This is the French high density? Really? Apparently it is. Alright, not what I had in mind. So let's just go with the regular European high density and just see what this turns out to be. Gonna remove the French ones, and then we're gonna see how big they're actually going to spawn in, and that might actually be a good height. What are they doing? Just watching the crane? I guess I did just replace your homes, so sorry about that. So how about we actually do this? Just 4 of them. And then let's have a look if we don't have a park. Yeah, they're probably all... This one would be... Oh, how about that actually? Now I wish I was able to replace... That's actually not bad. Whoa, 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 whoa. Alright, I'm going to pause. This is an issue. We need forest fire response time. We kind of need a helicopter depot, which we could unlock. We don't have quite enough money yet. I'm glad we built additional firefighters, but they're not gonna survive or make all of this happen. So definitely need a helicopter depot. The question is, okay, I'm going to pause now. Where are we gonna put it? Where do we have some space for it? I could put it over here. We haven't quite utilized that area. It's close to the sea, so they could actually pick up the seawater. We would need a small loan for that. And I will do that. Kind of need to keep an eye on our money because we're kind of just blowing through this. And now let's go into our development part and make sure we have the firefighter helicopter depot unlocked. It's kind of big. Could we actually place it in there? Would this make sense in this corner? I don't know if it does, to be honest. That would be kind of a good spot, wouldn't it? Don't want to place it too close to our residential area. And in all honesty, everything is so tight together that I do not see where else I could place it. Alright, you know what? It will actually go in here. In order to move that in here, we need to dig this out a little bit further. Or maybe it just needs to go over this way. Of course, it's a little bit too tight. That won't quite fit. Could place it somewhere like that. All right, I think no other choice. Place it here. It's close to the ocean, so it should actually get some of the benefit of, well, in theory at least, some of the benefit of the fresh water. Going to replace some of the industry we have just lost. Actually, I'm going to leave that open in case we want to put another road in there. And up here, we might actually be able to sneak in a little alleyway. All right, helicopter depot is in. Quick pause again, because we should also place one of these watchtowers. And I don't think it's too bad an idea to put one all the way up here. That covers actually a good amount of area, so I appreciate that part. Could also place one up here, but right now we don't really need any additional areas. It does need power, so a quick pause. We did have a power line that came down here, but it's actually not going in. So is there a way for us to put a little road up this way? Just like that. And we do have basically a connection over this way. Let's make sure electricity is not connected, even though it kind of just jumped off. Let's see, how much is it to move? Relocate. Put it all the way back here. And if we put this in like that, now it should be fully connected. Yeah. Don't tell me you're gonna burn down. All right, let's see what our helicopters are doing. I think they're all gone. They're all gone. Where are you? Good, good. This burned down. Relocate. All right, I think we've got the fire under control. Now that was very reactive, but sometimes I guess it has to be. And of course you spawned in the wrong direction. There we go. Just means we need to replace, what were you? The church, inn and restaurant, and the pub and restaurant. Church, inn and restaurant, and the pub and restaurant. Let's do that. Church, inn and bistro, church, inn and restaurant. Here we go. And then the pub and restaurant, which is this one. I know you can fit in there. There we go. All right, these buildings are back in, and the rest is, I think, being taken care of. Ooh. All right. Unexpected, but this is what happens when disaster strikes. Nonetheless, our rezoning over here, as well as our migration, ground pollution, That's what happens when you build this stuff on like old industry areas. So let's remove you and put in a small playground. Just like that, makes everyone happy, definitely more activity. And this zoning is back in, and we have significantly expanded our, they're way too tall. Oh boy. Our industry area. All right. So if they are also way too tall, maybe the French ones are ultimately what I was looking for. All right, let's see what they look like when they spawn in. Height-wise, looking much more reasonable. Anyways, with that, I am going to call it an episode. And today, I think we're gonna skip the city tour. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.